Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Caroline here, and I am back with another very cool video for you today. So before I get into it though, I'm gonna need you to pause this video. I'm gonna need you to hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna need you to hit that notification bell so that you won't miss another video from me. So what I'm going to do today, I have a couple of questions, and I've asked some of my friends to give me some pressing questions that they would like to hear me respond to on YouTube. So it's a kind of Q&A. So stay tuned and let's get into it, shall we? I know you so well, so well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to be truthful about my responses, and you all are going to get the opportunity to know a little bit more about me from these questions. Now, I must admit, some of the questions, when I read them, I was like, oh my gosh, these questions are really deep. I don't know if I have the answer for all of them, but I am definitely going to try to be as transparent as I can about my answers, my responses to these questions. So let me just dive into it. So I'm going to choose the first question. The first question says, do you have a bucket list? I do. There are certain things that I would like to achieve before I die. Traveling is one of them. So there are different countries that places that I want to visit: Bora Bora, Abu Dhabi. I'd like to visit England. I'd like to go to the United States of America. I've never been, and visit some of the Caribbean islands. I must be honest, the only place that I've ever been to is Jamaica, and that's because I had to study there. So I would really like to travel. That's one of the major things on my bucket list that I would like to get done. I'd also like to get married and live in a mansion, but I don't know if either of those two things would ever come through for me. So moving on to the next question, because I'm not trying for this video to be very long either. The question says, how have you managed to keep going, strength to teach, cope with your sister, and sustain life? How have you managed to keep going? Honestly, that has everything to do with God and not me, because there are many times that I feel to give up, and a lot of people would never know because I am always smiling. I'm typically jovial, so people would never know what I am feeling. But when I hit my bed in the night and I say my prayers, that's the way that I get through everything that I have to accomplish. I believe in involving God in my day-to-day challenges, and sometimes it's harder than other times, but the response to this question is definitely that God has been the person, the source of strength for me to continue to cope and to teach and to take care of Corrine, because Corrine she is a lot to deal with. All right, so the next question is, why don't you want children? Honestly, when I was 18 thereabout, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. When I went to the doctors would have told me that my chances, the likelihood of me having kids, would have been slim to none. So at 18, I started preparing my mind for the eventuality that I wouldn't have kids. And it carried through. I know from research that there are persons who have been successful in terms of having kids, but as I got older, the desire was not there. I like the idea of handing back children to their rightful owners. And Corrine is already a big responsibility of mine. I don't think that I would manage or cope well with having to deal with Corrine and then having a child of my own. There's a follow-up question. Do you think you will change your mind, and what would be the reason? At this ripe, wonderful age of 37, don't think that I would change my mind about having kids. There has to be like a sign from God saying that, Caroline, this is your pathway. You have to walk in it for me to change my mind. I don't think, and it's something that I've been praying to God about too, that, you know, I find somebody who is compatible with me on that level, who also does not want to have children, because like I said in a previous video, I don't think that that's something that could be compromised on. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So on to the next question. If you can go back in time to change one thing, what would it be? There are many things that I wish I could go back in time and change, but I honestly wish that I had not spent 7 years of my life in that relationship. I would have learned a lot out of the relationship, like what I will not do. But to say staying in a relationship where you know for a fact that the person is unfaithful, you know for a fact that the person is not best suited for you, and still staying because of fear of loneliness and starting over and that kind of thing, I will not do that again. So if I had the opportunity to go back in time and change one thing, it would be staying in that relationship as long as I did. The next question is, what is your biggest fear? My biggest fear. My biggest fear actually is twofold. It is being alone. Not being alone, but yeah, the loneliness, not being able to find somebody that I could come home and share the greater part of my day and talk to, like have somebody of my own. And with that loneliness now, dying and not and persons not recognizing that I am gone. So I remember having a conversation with my best friend about this. Honestly, because I'm living with my sister, and she is disabled. She has autism. She suffers, well, she has autism, and is brain damaged. The fear of dying, and not, especially over the weekend when I know for a fact, like her caregiver is not going to be here, dying over the weekend and having to wait for, not that I would know or anything like that, but like in my mind I'm like, if I die over the weekend, let's say I die Friday night and there's Saturday and Sunday, no, Corrine probably wouldn't eat, and you know, like there's a whole lot of things that go through my mind in terms of dying, and no one recognizing that I am gone. So in order to alleviate that fear, I came up with a plan. I came up with a death plan. I came I came up with a plan to signal, like, if ever I am feeling like, no, if I die and my best friend and I spoke, like, say she sends me a message and I don't respond, because I typically have my phone on me every single moment of the day. So if she sends me a message and she doesn't receive a response within a particular time, that they would come and they would check in and that kind of stuff. So I have a that plan in place to help me deal with that fear that I have. On to the next question. I think I stayed too long on that one. what is something what is something you regret, and how would you have done it differently? I feel like I answered that question before. Um, right. So what is something you regret, and how would you have done it differently? Um, as I said, I think I answered that question before. I generally don't like to well, I don't regret things, because I believe everything that you experience in life helps to build your personality, your character, helps you to become stronger. And so regret is not something that I ponder on. I learn from my whatever experiences, and I try to move on as best as possible. So that's the response for that question. The next question is, what would you change about yourself? In terms of personality, I think I like me. I like I like me as I am in terms of my personality, because I've worked so hard to become a better version of myself. So in terms of personality, maybe I really can't think of one thing in terms of personality that I would change. In terms of body, I really, really would like to get rid of this tummy, and I know the Lord knows that if it is my stomach gets flat, I would not be able to, I would not act right. So he's taken his time on making me lose that belly fat. As soon as this belly fat is gone, nobody could talk to me. And I think that's why I think that's why, it's staying. I'll have to think about the personality thing. That calls for introspection. But for right now, I think I'm cool with who I am as a person. I've grown a lot and I'm comfortable with who I am. All right, so this question says, Missy or Milo? Can't be both. No, y'all can't do me like this, because the two dogs are two different personalities. So Milo he is adventurous, he is spontaneous, he is very loving, but very particular. Missy is very standoffish. She's very bougie. She's like me in terms of personality. She does things on her own time. You can't force her to do what she doesn't want to do. She doesn't like hugs. She doesn't like kisses. But she likes her back scratched. So it's really hard to choose between the two different personalities. Milo likes attention, and so he'd find himself in your space. Missy likes attention, but from afar. So even if she comes into your space, she would come in and she would stay a little distance off, because she understands that people need their space. She wants her space, but she wants to be near. And I understand that. I get her. I can feel her. I feel her on all levels. So I can't say, I can't choose between the two dogs, my children. How are you asking me to choose between my children? No, I'm not answering this. It's not a fair question. Moving on. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Where do I see myself in the next 10 years? Having a business, a successful business of my own, getting my PhD, being able to lecture, because this is like a newfound passion of mine, being able to having influenced sufficient people that I leave a mark on this world. Yeah, it's simple. I would also within that 10 years like to get married, but if that's not in the cards, I accept that and I understand. But so far I'm really contented with my life. So those things of having my own business, because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur to a certain point, and leaving my mark on the world. Yeah, those are my two biggest goals for myself. If you can go back to 2020 and you could have rewritten it, would you? No. Because in 2020 I've discovered who really genuinely has my back and who doesn't. I've discovered who, like, I've learned a lot of new things about myself in terms of where I want to position, where I want to be, where I am, where I want to be, my capabilities, yeah. So to say to, and my relationship, I think my relationship with God has also grown, so that to go back to the 2020 version of Caroline, to rewrite it and not be in a pandemic, no, because I think the pandemic has actually shown the world who we are as people and how horrible we are as people. And if it's anything, we are supposed to be willing or wanting to grow from there. So no, I will not rewrite it. Where do you buy your clothes? Where do I buy my clothes? Where do I buy my clothes? There are a lot of places I purchase my clothes. I shop online, so I shop at Shein.com. I might purchase clothes from Forever 21 depending on their sales. I do, because this sweater dress is from Forever 21. I purchase clothes on Fashion Nova, and then locally, I shop at Candy Girls. I shop at Sweet 16. Bling Dong Apparel, that's an online store. I think she has a physical store too. Have I ever bought anything? Entice Body and I think that's it. I'm yet to try other online stores, but that's it in terms of locally. And just like that, Shein and all these places got got a free advertisement. Where is Corrine when I'm doing my videos? Corrine is in Corrine's room or in the living room. I think the video that I was doing the worst date ever. She was actually in the living room with me, but she was throwing a tantrum at that point in time. So if you go back to that video, you would see that there were random pauses, and you might have heard heavy breathing. That was Corrine in the background. And you might have heard a cough. That's Corrine. One place you would like to visit if you got the chance. Like I said, Abu Dhabi, um, Bora Bora. I really love those two places, and I'd really like to go. I'm almost finished. I have about 3 more questions. How do you stay grounded after accomplishing so much? And by grounded, I'm thinking you mean humble. There's absolutely no point in being puffed up in my book. Like, you have nothing to gain by being puffed up. And then I remember that, like, I would have started somewhere. We all start at some point to get where we are going, and if you cannot be resourceful. So let me just, I went to secondary school. My first attempt at CXC, I left with 3 passes. And if that doesn't humble you, I don't know what else would, because of all my mother's children, um I didn't perform well. And she was expecting so much from me, and I felt like I let her down. I disappointed her. um so that, for me personally, remembering where I came from, or remembering where I started from, that the fact that my parents were not rich. So if if I achieve the things that I set out to do, why would I not remember what I've come from? And the fact, remembering those things is what I guess keeps me grounded, keeps me down to earth and not aloof. And I pray every day that I do not become one of those persons that as soon as you get your master's, you get your PhD, you get this big work, that you lose your focus of who God intends for you to be. Because our purpose is bigger than the masters, the doctorate, the car you drive, the house you live in. It's bigger than that, right? So I see my purpose as bigger, and these things are just things that you collect along the way. And if, when I die, nobody is going to remember that Caroline had a PhD or Caroline had a master's or any of those things. They're going to remember you for the mark that you've left. And so once you think about it that way, there's nothing for you to be over the top and arrogant about. So yeah, moving on to the next question. If you can eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Anything potato. So it could be fries, it could be potato pie, it could be potato salad, just anything. Because potato is such a diverse vegetable, it would be potato. What's your life goal? My life goal is to be the best version of myself that I could be. So as I get older and I get wiser, I make different decisions and I do things that aid in me becoming a better version of myself than I was yesterday. And this is the last question. What's the one thing that makes you sad and no one knows? There are many things that make me sad that I think that nobody knows. How do I answer this? I guess the fact that my father isn't around to share in some of the biggest accomplishments that I've achieved. Um, I was a daddy's girl, and I always knew he was extremely proud of me. And I've always said, you know, like if it is I meet someone and I'm to get married, you know, I won't have that opportunity to have my father walk me down the aisle and those kind of things. And that really does make me sad. It makes me feel like I've lost out um on that opportunity that every young woman wants. And I mean every young woman who has had a happy, wholesome relationship with her mother wants. So yeah, if I had to say, because I mean there are many things that I feel sad about that I don't share, that you know remain between me and God. But if I have to think about it, it would be the fact that my father isn't around to share a lot of the experiences that I've I've had, that I've successfully completed, and where I am going now with my life. So yeah, so now the cup is empty. Thank you for your questions. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Um, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the very next video. Bye.